Do you like dating younger or older men? I like all men. I really do. If you judged by my past dating record, it's older men. I've never dated a guy younger than me. I've slept with a few guys younger than me, but they were not my best at all. So I would have to say older. That being said, I can crush on a younger man. I can have crushes on a younger man. And I do right now. I have a crush on a younger guy and an older guy right now. So thongs, G-strings, or other types of panties. Ever since like 6th grade, I wore thongs and G-strings, and I thought that was the only acceptable form of underwear, and I never ever wanted to wear like normal brief underwear. And then now I either wear no underwear at all 98% of the time, or I wear like big boy short underwear and I wear them as pajamas or as shorts around the house, but never like underclothes. And I swear I never wear underwear unless I sometimes wear underwear in jeans. It's just so uncomfortable. Like for some reason now wearing underwear, it's too sensitive down there. And I'm constantly like pulling it out of my butt crack. I can't handle it. Cats or dogs? Dogs. I now have a love for cats. I've never owned a cat because my dad was super allergic, and I was always scared of them growing up because my cousins had this cat that would jump out at me in the hallways. And so I thought they just didn't like me and wanted to attack me. And then when I moved to LA, I lived with roommates who had a cat, and that was the sweetest cat ever. And now I think cats are definitely super smart and awesome, but I just love dogs. I grew up with dogs. I love dogs. What do you do when you feel lost? I read, I go on a run, and I call my mom or go visit my mom and stay with my mom for a long time, because whenever I'm with my mom, I always come back to myself completely. Those would probably be my top 3. What is your favorite book? What do I have around me? I have so many favorite books, but here's a good one. I always keep this one next to my bed. I just always have this around. I've read it probably 4 times. I wouldn't say it's my favorite book, but it's definitely one of my favorites. It's called Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. And it's like little short chapters that you can just read in any order. And they're so motivating. So whenever I'm anxious or lost, I can read some of this and immediately know my purpose in life again. Do you believe in God, and are you religious? I am not religious. I wasn't raised with any religion. Religion wasn't talked about in my household. And then when I started getting older and seeing my friends go to youth group after school, and I went with them sometimes, my parents started explaining religion and God a bit more to me. And my mom always described religion and God as something that some people need to experience the strength that they have inside themselves. Like it's a way for them to channel that. And she always said that I can just channel that by myself. And so that's how I always looked at it. Neither of my parents are staunchly like, God doesn't exist. They're like, I don't know what's out there. And so that's how I've just always been. And I still feel that way now. Like, I guess that would be agnostic. I'm agnostic. I have no clue what's out there, but the thought of God and religion is not something that's on my brain often. How do you invest your money for the future? I have a financial advisor who was my mom's financial advisor during the divorce with my dad. So now I put the max amount that I can put in my retirement account every year, which I think is like $6,000. And then I have a different retirement account that I can put more in. And then I also have a lot of money that I've sent her that I tell her I plan to not take this out for at least the next 10 years. So she can invest it in long-term things and play around with it a little bit more. But basically I can live off of my new income coming in always. So whenever I build up a chunk of money in my bank account in cash and it's not sitting there waiting to go out for taxes or something, I send that to my financial advisor with the thought in mind that I am not going to be taking that out for at least 10 years, if not until I retire. And that is the best feeling, to just know that I have this huge chunk of money that's for in the far future, because I'm fine right now and I can figure out how to make enough money to pay my monthly bills and stuff. So to just know I have that for someday feels amazing. I talked a lot about my finances on the Iced Coffee Hour podcast with Graham Stephan, if you want to go give that a listen. Who and what was your source of inspiration growing up? When I was in second grade, my mom took me to a bookstore and bought me Legally Blonde on DVD. And ever since then, or at least all through elementary school and middle school, I watched Legally Blonde literally a billion times. I convinced my nanny to buy a Chihuahua and split him with me, like I was co-owner, and name him Bruiser. And I also had a stuffed animal named Bruiser, and I had like a little diamond dog collar on it that said his name. And I forget about this a lot, how pivotal Elle Woods was for me at that age. And I was just telling my mom how I want to go back to school, and she was like, oh my God, you're like gonna be just like Elle Woods. And I was cracking up because maybe subconsciously that movie taught me I can be hot and do school at the same time. What's your favorite thing about yourself? I would say how hardworking I am, like my confidence in my ability to do just about anything I want because I know that I can work hard for it. And I love that when I am alone, I can always find happiness and passion and purpose and drive because I am my own best friend. That is definitely the number one thing I am most grateful for, is my ability to turn inward and like what I find. What is your favorite song to cry to? Let's see. Stan by Eminem can sometimes make me cry so much, but I wouldn't say like I listen to that when I want to cry. Bruises by Louis Capaldi. Oh God, I've cried to that a lot. Okay, this is another one. Sweet and Low by Augustana. I've cried to that so many times. Vienna by Billy Joel. I cry to that a lot. Usually it's like happy cry though to that one. The Fray, How to Save a Life. That is a good cry song. My biggest regret is nothing. I could say that I regret staying in past relationships longer than I should have. Like I wanted to leave them, but I was too cowardly to break the person's heart and tell them I wanted to leave, so it took me a long time. And so I kind of suffered, like I put their happiness before mine for maybe like 6 months, and I just felt caged and tortured, and I suffered, and I felt depressed and stuck. And I regret doing that to myself, but I really don't. Like I wouldn't go back and change it because I obviously had to learn that. Like I had to know how crappy that makes you feel, to know that like next time I can't do that to myself, and it's not worth wasting my life like that. What's your most successful rizz technique? Rizz is like flirting, right? Like game. I would say making eye contact and being genuinely interested in a person. It can just be like, showing up to a first date and just being like asking them lots of rapid fire questions or something. It's like genuinely observing them and trying to understand them as a person with excitement and interest, and just giving them space to talk about themselves and reveal themselves to you. That is like the best way to flirt, to show you're interested in someone, to make them like being around you. Your favorite drink: coffee, water, which means when I go out, I love an espresso martini, and wine. I love wine. Fastest you've made a guy finish? Oh boy. There was this guy I met in LA who really wanted to take me out, but he had to leave the next day. So the next morning, before he had to leave, we met on the rooftop at like 8 a.m. for coffee, and we started making out. There was tons of sexual tension. So he invited me back to his room right before he had to take his bag and leave. And he took his pants off, or I mean, he pulled them down. I licked up it and put my mouth on it once, came off it, and he just exploded all over my face. That was by far the fastest. He was literally in shock. He was in complete shock. His mind was blown. He was like, I don't know what just happened. That was the craziest thing in my life. And then he just like walked super stunned out of the hotel room and left. Wow, it's raining so hard. Can you hear that? Do you ever struggle with body image? Yes. How do I put this? When I'm struggling with body image, it's not because of my body. Like, I've been heavier, I've been skinnier, I've been more in shape, I've been out of shape, I've had acne, I haven't. It doesn't matter. It's more about my mental state. If I'm on social media too much, if I haven't been taking care of my body, I haven't been exercising, and I get into kind of this anxious, compulsive, hard on myself mental state. Whereas if I'm exercising and taking care of my body and I have things to focus on, it doesn't matter how I look at all. I won't be thinking about it, and I'll just be happy with how I look. But of course, you know, everything goes up and down, and there's times where I'm really hard on myself and I feel like my career would be better and my life would be better if I took better care of my body and, you know, looked prettier. But I always get out of that. There's always ups and downs with everything. But thinking that I look in the mirror and I'm always like, yeah, you're fucking sexy, is not reality. But that's not reality, I don't think, for anybody. Would you rather know when or how you die? I would rather know when I die. I saw this guy on TikTok recently that had a calendar that was just little boxes for every single week of his life. And every week that he lived, he would black out so he could see how many weeks he had left in his life till he was like probably 100 or something. And I thought that was the most genius idea, because you don't realize that you don't have that much time left. So it would be cool to know when I die so that I can see how many weeks I have left to live and make sure I make the most of them. What is your favorite jellycat that you have? It's gotta be him. My elephant. It used to be a hippo. He was like the same size as this elephant and like a little bit more purple. And I left him at a hotel after filming a scene with Alex Adams. And I left him in the bed and I never called him and I never picked him up, and it's been like a year. So I lost my favorite guy. So Drew got me this elephant to replace my hippo. I would say this elephant is my favorite because I use him like a pillow, or I put him between my legs at night. How are you always in a good mood? You always seem so happy. What makes you depressed or sad? I'm not always in a good mood. I'm not. Here's the thing about me. When I'm not in a good mood, like I'm anxious or depressed, I don't want to make content. I go inward and I isolate, and maybe I work on behind the scenes stuff or things to make me less anxious, but I never have the urge to speak or talk or express myself, especially on the internet. So that's probably why it seems like I'm always in a good mood, but I'm definitely not. Like, even yesterday, I woke up just feeling so depressed. And when I feel that way, I immediately have to catch myself and I go and read, like, the Courage is Calling book. I'll just read some of that. I'll go and read until I have the motivation to go exercise. And then I'll go exercise, and then I'll shower, like clean myself up, cook myself some food, and then I'll feel a lot better and can make content or feel like myself again. But I am definitely not always happy. When I'm alone, I'm happy a lot. I'm happy a lot when I'm alone. I don't know what it is, but like people really exhaust me. Spending too much time on social media makes me, like scrolling, makes me so unhappy. Reading and running makes me happy and motivated. Would you support your future child to enter the adult industry, and why? I would support my child in almost anything they want to do, in anything they want to do, as long as they're happy. I take that out of my mom's book and my dad's book, but specifically my mom has such unconditional love, and as long as her kids are happy, she puts her trust in us to make our own lives. I absolutely would support them for that reason alone, but also, like, how could I sit here and do it and know that it's right for me, but then if I see my kid doing it, tell them that it's wrong? Like, they're gonna be similar to me. So if this is something that they find interesting, then how could I not understand them? Like, I completely would understand. And how could I give my kid less liberty than I gave myself? If they're doing it in a way where they're being exploited, of course I would get my kid out of that situation. But if there's anything they want to do, as long as they're happy doing it, I'll be happy with. That's all I can ask for. Happy and healthy kids. Would you leave a good relationship if the sex wasn't the best? If the sex wasn't good, absolutely. If it wasn't the best I've ever had, I don't know. It has to be good. It has to be really good. But speaking from personal experience, the best sex I've ever had is not with a person that I maybe would be good being in a relationship with. Because the best you ever have might be with an absolute crazy person in a toxic relationship. Whereas the best relationship for you might be somebody who's less crazy and toxic, and instead of having like crazy sex here and there, you can have like frequent, really good, close, intimate sex with. And you can stay with them for a long time without self-destructing. So don't think that your relationship needs to be the best you've ever had, but it definitely needs to be really good. Like, it needs to satisfy you completely. I would definitely leave a relationship if it wasn't good sex. Like, if it wasn't good at all, if it was boring, if I didn't feel connection, if it didn't challenge me, if it wasn't fun and open, I'd be gone, because that is like a big indicator of chemistry. Last one, your favorite position in bed. While I love doggy, I think my favorite is this. I hope you learned a little bit more about me. There's like a billion more questions that I could answer, so if you want me to do a part 2 to this, let me know. I'd be happy to. All right, bye guys. Say bye, Mr. Elephant.